Like, when she reaches out to commentary creators and other YouTubers, she explodes and vents everything because all of her offline friends don't give a shit about it. So Gabbie, you have to remember, like, when Gabbie blew up, she blew up from Vine, which is, like, the most low-effort content in the world. Like, if you watch what got her to where she is now, what gave her millions, it's, like, really comedy that is terrible and bad. But, like, she didn't blow up because she's a smart business person. She blew up because the app promoted her and, like, she made really good business connections. So, like, despite her degree, despite her everything, I am not kidding you, she is one of the... how do I say this? She is not stupid, but she's, like, dumb about certain things. Like, she's really dumb about most things. That's mean.
What's cracking, VangelinaSkov, and I was about to record a Q&A today, completely different video, and I saw the most recent comment on my community tab asking what questions people had, was somebody asking me, hey, have you heard the voice memos from Creepshow Art? To which I thought to myself, no, how have I missed this? So I obviously immediately went to check it out, and now I have to share it with all of you because it is insane. So these are leaked voice memos that were shared by a former friend of Shannon, whose name I'm not sure how to pronounce. I'm so sorry. I think it's Camellia, and I'm pretty sure in her video she said Cam, but she said it so fast and I played it 4 times and I still wasn't sure. So I'm just gonna go with Cam. If that's wrong, somebody correct me, I'm sorry. But I'm just going to say Cam for now because I think that's what she said. And in these voice memos, Creepshow Art talks about a lot. And she has a lot to say about Gaby Hanna in particular, as well as Rachel Oates, Helloleesh, Ready to Glare, Dustin Dailey, Nick Snider, and I think that was it. Oh, and Jimmy Snow. How did I forget Jimmy Snow? He was a big part of this. So I'm obviously going to be showing you these voice memos and I will talk a little bit about them as well. But before we do get into that, I would really appreciate if you please subscribe and click the bell button to get all notifications when I upload. Thank you very much. I also asked my patrons, I gave them a poll of what topic I should do next on the podcast. And most people voted for me talking about Creepshow Art and why I stopped trusting her a long time ago. So that's going to be the next podcast episode. I'm going to record it this week and you can hold me to that. If I don't do it, somebody just message me repeatedly, when's the podcast? Because sometimes my brain, it slips out of my head. So yeah, there's a link for my Patreon in the description if you want to check that out, and subscribe, follow me on there. It's only $1 to listen to the podcast, by the way. It's available to all the patrons. Anyway, let's talk about the video. So this is a lot. So I'm going to go mostly in the chronological order that Cam, I hope that is the right name. I'm so sorry. That Cam went through in the video. And it basically starts off showing how many contradictions that Shannon has in her communications and the things that she says, basically alluding to her lying all the time. And we start off with a conversation, a screenshot of a conversation between Cam and Shannon, where Shannon says, dude, it's about to get worse, legit. Gaby, in reference to Gaby Hanna, obviously, has my number and has low-key threatened me before, so I'm not interested in getting more shit from her. But she has hours of videos ready to drop. What else is happening? I thought this was the Jimmy Snow tweets. And Shannon says, I don't know anything about that. But then immediately after that, Cam got a voice memo from Creepshow Art talking about Jimmy Snow and Rachel and Gaby.
In regards to the Rachel situation, so as far as I'm aware, I don't know if Jimmy has talked about this because Jimmy told me when that was occurring, Gaby never told him to do anything. Gaby literally just said, yeah, it hurt my feelings. And Gaby will say that about anything and everything. Gaby has told me like random shit, like she'll be watching a video and someone will like mention her and she'll be like, oh, that hurt my feelings. And in my experience, like I never reach out to the person and say like, take the video down, it hurt her feelings. So as far as I'm aware, her and Jimmy were already friends and Gaby like just mentioned it. And then Jimmy like white knighted for Gaby.
She also said it was weird that Rachel said Gaby reached out to the only person who knew me, that they both knew. So this is referring to Gaby talking to Jimmy Snow after the controversy surrounding Rachel making a review of Gaby Hanna's poetry book. If you don't know about that, I know this is very complicated, a lot of stuff goes into this, but if you don't know about that, after Rachel made her review, it wasn't a very positive one, a mutual friend of Rachel and Gaby kind of went off on Rachel. That's the shortest way I can explain that. And Rachel apparently said, yes, Gaby reached out to the only person that was friends with me in real life. And apparently Creepshow reached out and said, hey, that's not true, you know, we've talked. And says she doesn't like how Rachel behaved, that she said we're not friends, this and that and the other.
It's also, like, it was also really weird because Rachel, went on Twitter right after and was saying, like, oh, Gaby did all this stuff, she's trying to take the video down, she's trying to attack me. And I reached out, and I was like, hey, because she was just like, Gaby reached out to the only person who knows me. She essentially said, Gaby reached out to the only person that knows me, and is trying to get my friends to turn on me, and she's doing all this stuff. And I saw that, and I was just like, hey, that's not true, because, like, you and me also talk. And Gaby, like, just the way she framed it wasn't, like, factual, in my opinion. So I, like, reached out, and she was just like, it was really weird. And she started saying all this stuff, and it got really dark, because then she started saying, like, oh, now everyone hates me, and I was just like, dude, I'm just telling you, Rachel, like, I'm not saying this with any hate, but, like, I'm just saying, like, Gaby didn't do that. And then she was like, we're not friends, we never were, like, she started saying all this stuff, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Again, I wasn't sending her hate, but, like, what was even weirder is then, like, randomly someone started, like, then Helloleesh got involved, and that girl is fucking weird. And she started saying, like, I was gaslighting her, and I was just like, I'm just literally, what? What is going on? It was a whole weird kerfuffle. And so in that situation, like, I do not support what Gaby's doing now at all, because Gaby just is, she's in the episode, and I think it's really bad.
Now on Cam's video, Rachel actually did comment about this. It's so weird to hear how Shannon thought we were friends / got annoyed over me saying we weren't. We exchanged about 10 messages on 2 occasions over Instagram. I sent her a super chat in a live stream once and gave her a shout out in a video when her channel was still small. I'm pretty sure that's it. I liked her as a content creator and we spoke on less than a handful of occasions, but that's not a friendship to me. That's an acquaintance or a colleague maybe. I have YouTubers I'm friends with, and they're people I chat to a lot and spend time with in person or video chat with, but that's something that grows over months, not from 2 Instagram conversations. I'm going to come back to the super chat thing because this is kind of going to be relevant later on for a lot of what Creepshow Art had to say about her donating to people and other people donating to her, and she seems to think that donations and giving money to people and gifts to people means that you're friends or that you at least owe each other something, which I find very weird. But we'll go more into that later. Oh, I also want to point out that Cam actually mentioned me in her video, which threw me off entirely. I always assume that, like, nobody knows who I am or of my existence. So when somebody mentions me, I'm like, heh? But basically saying that I had said that there was no proof of anything. But a lot of these voice memos do clear up a lot of what was said about the whole situation with Creepshow Art, and some of it does serve as proof. Now we're going to get into a lot of what Shannon said about Gaby, because there is a lot. It is the majority of these voice notes, and it goes on for a while. But I do want to point out that Cam said it made her angry how Shannon talked about tipsters saying, oh, I donated to you, so, you know, you said you would stay out of my drama and stuff like that. And then obviously Tipster did get involved with the drama. Again, watch my previous video on Creepshow Art if you have no idea what I'm talking about. And Cam says you can't buy people. That's not how that works. And I'm pointing this out to you now because, again, we are going to talk about this a little later in the video, so remember that piece of information. The information of Shannon trying to buy people. But yeah, let's just hear a bit of what she had to say about Gaby.
Gaby is sitting on hours and hours and hours of content. And when she approached me, like, last month, because she's had my number for at least, like, 6 months, I would say for, like, a couple weeks. I thought we were, like, actually friends. But, she was, you know, using me, which is fine. I don't know why I expected more of her. But essentially, she reached out and she was just like, I'm making all these videos. I am going to be, like, doing, like, one and dones for every person who's kind of, like, me over, because she was getting, mad at me and mad at Ready to Glare and, like, everyone, because we hadn't made videos, like, defending her, but also she wasn't willing to, like, say it publicly. And so she gave me and Julia shit for not making videos, on like the things she was telling us privately. And then she like went off on me again, and she was just like, this is after like she had threatened me, but like she went off on me and she was like, that doesn't make sense, you're just a coward, da, da, da. And I was just like, I literally stopped responding at that point, because what am I going to do? So that happened, and then like a couple weeks later she reached out and was just like, I'm making all these videos, all this stuff, and I was like, okay, go ahead, like go off, girl boss, do whatever you want. And she sent me 3 of them. I have seen the one on Trisha Paytas, which is good. She didn't send me the one on David Dobrik. Now that I think about it, I forget the other 2. I have seen, I think, 3 out of the like 10. She says she has like 10 or 20, and they're like all hours long, and they're all fucking manic as shit, dude.
I find it weird that she says Gabby's a girl boss for going off on people on YouTube and making a series about everybody she believes has wronged her, even though later in the voice memos, and you'll hear it, Creepshow Art says that basically that Gabby's delusional, that she thinks everybody's out to get her when they're not. So why is her calling these people out girl boss? I don't know. Maybe it was ironic, maybe it was sarcastic. I just thought it was weird. And it is also very interesting that Gabby was trying to get Ready to Glare and Creepshow Art to make videos for her, essentially.
Okay, so about the Jimmy stuff, because I was on Twitter when that happened, and I was slightly kind of involved, because essentially what happened was Gabby talks to pretty much like me, Julia, or like she used to. So it was me, Julia, Jimmy, and I think there are a couple other people, because, well, she'll say she doesn't watch videos about herself, and I don't think she does, but she watches videos calling out people she doesn't like. She reached out and we spoke for like 4 hours, because she essentially told me everything the first time I ever talked to her. She has no boundaries with people, and everything she says about herself online, she truly believes. She thinks no one believes her ever. No one cares about her ever. Everyone is just using her for clout, and everyone's using her for fame and success, and that like she genuinely thinks that when people talk about her, that's all they're doing it for, and like that's how she discounts all of their criticism. It's all clout, it's all fake, it's all you want my attention. Granted, she does have a point with certain people, like Dustin Dailey, who double backed on her because he like, it became popular to not like her, and so he said a bunch of shit, and him and his fiance fucking suck. I hate them. They're terrible people. Literally drugged people. But that's something I'm not allowed to talk about. But like, she's dealt with a lot, and she genuinely thinks this of herself. So she reached out to like me, and I know Julia, not out of like make content for me originally. She wasn't saying that to us. It later kind of turned into that because she asked Julia to take down her videos on her, and Julia had to like send her a really long message about like why that was inappropriate of her to ask and why she wouldn't be doing that. But it's a whole kerfuffle. But like, if Jimmy actually said like, no, Gabby did do that, I'm gonna be pissed, because that means he lied to me. Gabby lied. Like, this whole thing sucks. This sucks. I hate everything. But also, Rachel was really weird to me, personally. Like, but then Helloleesh and her friend made like a video calling me a bitch and a cunt and all this stuff, and Rachel supported the video, and I was just like, what the hell? I like bought your dog poetry book, and I bought like, I've been we've talked before, so I don't know what you're doing. It was just very weird. It's all weird. The lore is weird.
I find it so odd how she's just taking every opportunity to take digs at people, like saying, oh, and Helloleesh is horrible, and Rachel Oates was super weird to me, and I hate Dustin Dailey, and I hate Nick Snider, who she doesn't even name for some reason. I know a lot of people hate Dustin Dailey, and somebody explained to me why, but it's left my brain. I don't remember. I don't remember why people hate Dustin Dailey. It's not coming to my brain. Now, here's the other thing that I'm going to talk about. Now, remember when I said to hold those pieces of information in your mind of Creepshow Art talking about money and blah, 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 blah. She said, it's so weird that Rachel supported Helloleesh's video calling me a and whatnot. Like, what? I bought your dog poetry book. If you don't know, Rachel Oates made like a parody poetry book called Dog-a-Lessons. But she uses her buying that book as a reason why Rachel can't support a negative video about her. Does this not make any, does this make sense to you? To anybody else, does this not make any sense to you either? Because this doesn't make sense to me. Buying somebody's books or supporting somebody financially does not mean that they owe you anything. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I've bought Gaby Hannah's books. Does that mean that she now has to be nice to me? I don't think so. I think if I ever met Gaby Hannah, she would not be very nice to me, even if I've bought her book. Seriously, let me know in the comments. Does this make no sense to you either? I'm so confused. Okay, so she has a lot more intense stuff to say about Gaby, so let's just have a listen.
God, the whole thing with like Gaby is that she doesn't have any online friends. And she doesn't have any online friends because she has trust issues about having online friends. And whereas I was like, oh, we're friends, her actions towards me, like, my issue with Gaby is she is not good at being manipulative at all. Like, she tries to manipulate people, but she's really, really bad at it, and she's really, really obvious, which is why when it's like she's doing something, I'm just like, dude, that's so stupid. Like, I had to explain what optics were to her. Homegirl or at least she had a publicist months ago. She told me she had one, but like, even still, she doesn't understand, like, how do I say this? Gaby is the type of person who comes to you when their mind is made up about something, and they just want to be supported. But I'm also like, I don't think she's well, genuinely. And a lot of her friends are online. Like, when she reaches out to commentary creators and other YouTubers, she explodes and vents everything because all of her offline friends don't give a shit about it. So Gaby, you have to remember, like, when Gaby blew up, she blew up from Vine, which is like the most low effort content in the world. Like, if you watch what got her to where she is now, what gave her millions, it's like really comedy that is terrible and bad. But like, she didn't blow up because she's a smart business person. She blew up because the app promoted her, and like, she made really good business connections. So like, despite her degree, despite her everything, I am not kidding you, she is one of the, how do I say this? She is not stupid, but she's like dumb about certain things. Like, she's really dumb about most things. That's mean. So when you say like, she can't know, like, she has to know what to do at this point, she doesn't. She does not. She doesn't have like PR. She doesn't have like a company telling her. She literally thinks, and this is from like hand to God, this is what she told me. She thinks her downfall has been orchestrated by like everyone. So Jessie Smiles, like, well, Jessie Smiles does have a friend who's like really aggressive with Gaby, like constantly. But she like sits there and thinks, okay, Jessie Smiles had it out for her for some reason, and she made up a bunch of shit. She doesn't see like the fact that, oh no, you did do stuff wrong in that situation, and there is stuff that like you should apologize for and you should feel bad about. She doesn't see it like that. She's like, this is all lies and it's all orchestrated against me. I'm not saying she's like stupid in every way, shape, or form, but that is what she thinks. She also thinks that she has been silent, and like, that's the big issue. Despite her, you know, going off about everything constantly and, you know, not being silent at all, she will say, nobody listens to me, and I haven't spoken about any of this, and that's why there's so much false information. And she thinks any criticism of her is like false information. I kid you not. That's genuinely what she believes.
She says a lot of really mean stuff about Gaby, which is so bizarre considering she says that she considered them friends. One of the most interesting points that she brought up was, Gaby is not good at being manipulative. She tries, but she's really bad at it. It's such an odd thing to say about somebody. Like, are we rating people on how good they are at being manipulative? Like, I get your point, but this is somebody who you considered your friend and you were close enough with that she sent you 3 of her videos for the series. And she also says, as well as being bad at being manipulative, she says Gabby's bad at most things and makes fun of her because she started from Vine, saying Vine is the most low-level content and it's not funny and it's just bad comedy, and like she didn't get popular on there because she was a good businesswoman. She got popular on there because the app promoted her and she made a lot of connections. Like really digging into her, really digging into her. Anyway, this is all I'm going to talk about for now. That was all of the voice memo. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Are you as just overwhelmed by all of this as I am? And also, I know I'm late to this, I'm sorry, I just didn't hear about it. I'll also link Cam's video in the description so you can check that out for her commentary on the whole thing, coming from the person that these voice memos were actually sent to, so do check that out. Anyway guys, like I said at the start of the video, please subscribe and turn on all notifications, and you can also follow me on social media. Like, comment, share, and do all the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of the video, and have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!